Today, inshallah, we're going to start talking about profit sharing, and we'll see whatever else Allah makes easy for us, inshallah. So the author says, profit sharing without ijara, that's renting or hiring, and without sharika, that's partnership. One may authorize a worker with a certain amount of money for trading, yani to trade, let's say it that way, with the condition that the profits be divided between them. So this first sentence here is to address the language barrier. Profit sharing, or we might say Islamic profit sharing, because people do use this word profit sharing, but do they mean it like the way we mean it? Now, just out of a curiosity here, it says a profit sharing plan is a way for employers to provide employees with a portion of the business's profits based on quarterly or annual earnings. So that's not what we're talking about. Profit sharing is what we're going to mention here. It's not ijara, which is renting or hiring. And it's not sharika, which is the partnership. So what's the ijara? The renting or the hiring. That is, as you know, that's for someone to transfer a benefit temporarily of some object or a right. And the fee is the known fee, not a percentage. It's not valid to hire for a percentage. And sharika, partnership, this is for all contributors, all partners. This is for all partners to contribute to the pot. And profit and loss is based on the contribution, not based on the work, not based on anything but the contribution. We're going to talk about partnership. I don't know if we'll get to it today or not, but just in brief. So this profit sharing we want to talk about, it's not renting or hiring, it's not ijara, that is, and it's not sharika. As for which words you're going to use in English, no one can force you to not use the word renting or hiring or partner. But if you want to understand these Islamic deals, then you need to understand, you need to give each type of deal its heading. And if you want to understand deals, you need to understand the various types of deals. What did Umar ibn al-Khattab say? He said, no one works in our markets without learning first, without having learned first. People are getting involved in deals without learning first. So, what is this profit sharing? One may authorize a worker with a certain amount of money. So one person has money, the other person's going to do the work. To trade, the work is trade only, not something else, not processing. With the condition, under the condition that the profits be divided between them according to their agreement. 50-50, 70-30, 60-40, whatever they agree to. So this is a deal in which you can be paid a percentage. Just for the fact that you can be paid a percentage, then this is not ijara, renting or hiring. Partnership allows you to take a percentage, yes, but this is not a partnership also, because this is not a deal in which everyone is contributing to the pot and mixing their monies physically, as we'll see, insha'Allah ta'ala. This is a deal in which one person has the money and the other person does the trading. And they split the profits between them, which means here there's a percentage that they agree to. As for hiring, if this were hiring, then the salary of this worker would be determined exactly, not a percentage. The work must be trading, none other, for this Islamic profit sharing. So it is invalid to tell the worker, buy the wheat with this money, grind it, knead it, bake it, then sell it, and we will divide the profit. And what's trade then? Trade is to buy a product, to sell it for a profit, and then with the profit to buy more product, to sell for a profit, and then to buy more product with that to sell it for a profit, and so on. It's not a condition that each time you buy the same product. Even if you bought a different product each time, as long as you haven't broken the cycle, then this is trading. This requires the conditions of authorization because the owner is truly authorizing the worker to deal for him. So that's why someone might say, I hired the worker, because he's authorizing someone to deal for him. Take this money of mine and deal for me with it. I have the money, you do the trading. But in our lessons, we're not going to call it hiring. The money must be specified. The money must be a specified amount of complete or broken golden or silver currency. A specified amount of complete or broken golden or silver currency. Specified amount means, that's clear, yani like 1,000 dinars, 500 dinars, or 500 dirhams. Golden or silver currency, complete or broken, is if you have a golden coin, if it's chipped, it still has value. So, yani, basing money on gold and silver is a very smart idea. A very smart idea. Better than paper money. Some people say they killed Gaddafi because he wanted to start using golden currency. This will be a big deal if he did something like that. I don't know, though, if that's true. Yani, my point only is how good of an idea it is to use golden and silver currency as opposed to something else. Because it's very universal. Someone comes to you and he has gold. Real shiny gold right there in his hand. What you going to say? Get that gold out of here. Give me some paper. Maybe you might. Depends on how you think about things. But maybe not. What if that gold had Chinese written on it? Or if it had Swahili written on it? Or if it had something else written on it? I don't think it's going to matter to you. But if somebody brings you Japanese yen and you live in America, or someone brings you Australian dollars and you live in UK, it's not worth it, is it? So a very good idea here. Here, this is the Shafi'i school. When you do profit sharing, the money must be a specified amount of complete or broken golden or silver currency. Not jewelry, not bars, not ore. Ore means right out of the ground. As opposed to Abdul Rahman ibn Abi Layla, he's a mujtahid. According to Abdul Rahman ibn Abi Layla, it doesn't have to be golden or silver currency in particular. In the Shafi'i school, it must be golden or silver currency in particular. The shares, like a half or a third, etc., must be specified. And it is invalid for one side to take all of the profit. That's invalid. Or to give the money with the condition to be paid a certain amount at year's end, for example. Yani, it's invalid to give the money, so you have the money, you're giving it to the worker, with the condition to be paid a certain amount at the end of the year. You tell him, I'm forwarding this money to you. At the end of the year, I want $10,000. Invalid. But then, if you did do such an invalid deal, the worker deserves a commensurate salary, like hiring. Like we said about hiring. Which is what? If your hiring is invalid, then what do? Does this guy just get to walk away without getting paid anything? No. Because he didn't work for free. So in case the hiring is invalid, then the worker deserves a commensurate payment, a commensurate salary. Commensurate salary means what that work was worth. If you hired a person to paint a wall, or you hired a person to do some task, whatever task that might be, but your hiring was invalid. So you hired him for whatever amount you hired him for, but the contract was invalid. You still have to pay him because he worked. So what do you pay him? Not according to your agreement. You pay him a commensurate salary. Meaning whatever that work that he did was worth, what it's worth on the market. Same thing here. If you did an invalid profit sharing, then you're going to treat this like an invalid hiring and pay that person what his work was worth on the market. But unlike hiring, the employee's ability to profit cannot be limited to a certain time, while his permission to buy can be. So here we use the word employee, but we're not going to call this hiring though. We're going to call this profit sharing. So this employee in the profit sharing, unlike hiring, his ability to profit cannot be limited to a certain time. How can he profit? He profits by selling, of course. It's your money. With your money, he buys product to sell. You can't limit his ability to profit by an amount of time. But his permission to buy can be. You can tell him, buy this month, buy during this month, buy before the month is over. After the month is over, I don't want you to buy anymore. But you can't limit his ability to profit. The authorization cannot be strict, like unrestricted permission to trade. Unrestricted permission to trade is not strict. That's valid. Meaning you say, take this money and trade with it. Buy product and trade with it. That's not strict. So he cannot say, take my opinion before you buy anything, because he might not find him when he wants to buy. It may be restricted, but to merchandise usually available and not rare, like black horses with white feet. It may be restricted means the owner of the money could say, buy such and such. That's valid. But restricted to merchandise that's usually available so that it's not difficult. Not rare, like black horses with white feet. He can't say, buy only black horses with white feet. Once the articles are sold, the deal would be over. So also that's different from hiring. You want to find all the ways that this is different from hiring. From ijara. When is the ijara over? If you hired him for a task, then when the task is done. If you hired him for a time, then when the time runs out. When is the profit sharing over? When the articles are sold. And the worker still must collect debts and liquidate enough of the items to give the owner similar to the original capital. Yani, he's going to give the owner his money back. And they're going to split the profits. They want to split the profits. Not split the original capital. The original capital is what's used to start the business. So the worker is going to want to give this back. Not the exact money, similar to it. He's going to want to give it back. And then they're going to split the profits. Anything generated exceeding original capital is split. Whatever exceeds the original capital is split. But not what is unrelated to his work. Like the animal offspring That's not related to his work. Yani, if he bought animals, that's the product. And then these animals started breeding. None of that goes to the worker, those babies. Also, they cannot make the contract condition. Also, they cannot make the contract contingent upon a condition. Like, I now make a profit-sharing contract with you for you to start on the 1st of the month. For you to start on the 1st of the month. So this condition is not valid. Because making the management contingent upon something is like making the contract itself contingent. Yani, this worker is independent contractor. So that's all we have here for profit sharing. And then there's a benefit. Zakah for trading. This is a benefit. That means something extra. Why it's extra? Because we're here not talking about zakah. This booklet, it's not about zakah in particular. Zakah has its own book. Yani, Kitabu Zakah, the book of zakah, with its own chapters. But because we're talking about trading here, then a benefit was summoned. And the author says here, zakah may be due for trading. So what are you going to pay zakah for, by the way? You're going to pay zakah for having animals, certain types. Which types? You need to learn that. You're going to pay zakah for having crops. Which types? You need to learn that. You're going to pay zakah for having precious metals. Which types? You need to learn that. You're going to pay zakah for trading. Trading is what we already defined. When you buy something to sell it for a profit. You buy it with the intention of selling it for a profit. And then with the profit, you buy more to sell it for a profit. And so on. What people call flipping sometimes. So, and also you're going to pay zakah for the Muslim bodies that you have to support. That's zakatul fitr. So now we're talking about the zakah of trading. It's a special category of zakah because it's not about the items. It's about the trading itself, not the items. When you talk about the zakah of animals and metals and crops, that's zakah on the items themselves. You're going to actually pay camels or cows or sheep or gold or silver or corn or rice. That's the zakah itself, not something else. The item itself. Or raisins or dates. I remember when I was a new Muslim, a brother gave me a bag of wheat in my hands. I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? But he fulfilled his obligation. But when it comes to trading, the zakah is not about the items. It's about the trading. Really, yani, it's about the value. The value. So let's see what we have here. When one purchases items for trade, even with a price below the quota, the year starts. Below what quota? The quota for gold or silver. Zakah for trading follows the zakah of gold and silver. Ideally, you're going to start your business with gold or silver. That's originally, that's the origin of money. Gold and silver. That's the origin of money. So let's stick there for a moment. You're not going to be confused. And then we'll see what we have after that. But let's start with the source, which is gold or silver. So assuming you started your business with gold or silver, then the zakah of gold has a quota. If you have certain amount of gold, then if you had that certain amount of gold for a year, you're going to have to pay zakah on it. Or if you had a certain amount of silver for a year, you're going to have to pay zakah on it. When one purchases items for trade, even with a price below the quota of gold or silver, Then his year starts when he purchases, not when he sells, when he purchases. Meaning he purchases, when it says he purchases items for trade, means with the intention of trading. Then his year starts, his fiscal year, which is going to be a lunar year. So we want to take easy examples. So let's say his year started Ramadan 1st, came into some money, and he said, now's my chance to start a business for myself. I'm going to go to the wholesale place and buy some products that I can push, that I can sell. So just by buying them, his year starts. So let's say it's Ramadan 1st when he did that. So that means when the next Ramadan 1st comes and he kept trading for the whole year, then he's going to maybe have to pay zakah. The zakah of gold or silver. The zakah of gold or silver. After a fiscal year, whatever exists is valued at wholesale market price. After a fiscal year, whatever exists is valued at wholesale market price. So when Ramadan 1st comes back around, then whatever exists, what does that mean? That means any cash that has been generated from the trading and any merchandise he has in stock from the trading. How much is all of that wholesale? Yani, he has his cash. So that's the cash. That's not going to be wholesale. That is what it is. His merchandise, his inventory, if he wants to sell all of it now, wholesale. You know the difference between wholesale and retail. If he wants to sell all of it now wholesale, how much is it worth? So that price, he adds it to any cash that he has generated. Put those two numbers together. When I say cash, I mean, we started with, we're saying gold or silver. So however much the gold he has is worth or the silver he has is worth, plus what his inventory is worth wholesale. He values that according to the capital bullion. Capital bullion, that means how you started. The bullion, the gold or silver you use to start your trade. Add that wholesale price to whatever gold or silver you have that was generated from the business. So, is that a quota that makes you have to pay zakah? Then if so, you have to pay zakah. If you started your trade with gold, you're going to pay the zakah of gold. If you started your trade with silver, you're going to pay the zakah of silver. If some of his product were purchased by gold and some by silver, he values accordingly. So you're going to have to keep records. Unless you can remember. If you can't remember, then you need to keep records so that you don't sin. If he purchased his product with other than bullion, like dollars, he values by the dominant bullion of the town. So you started your trade with dollars. Now Ramadan 1st came back around. Your lunar fiscal year or your fiscal lunar year is complete. You want to assess what you have to see if you need to pay the zakah. Let's say you do. So how are you going to do that? And you started with dollars. Then those dollars, you're going to say, okay, I got this much dollars generated from the business. And if I sell all of my merchandise now wholesale, I'll have this much dollars. How much gold is that worth? Because that's the dominant bullion of the town. Or how much silver is that worth, since that's the dominant bullion of the town? He values it by the dominant bullion of the town, and then he pays that zakah, the zakah of gold or silver, whichever one is the dominant bullion of the town. So when we say he pays the zakah of gold or silver, means what is he paying as zakah? Dollars? No, gold or silver. If it has both, if the town has both, then either way, he would have reached the quota. So if the town equally uses gold and silver, neither of them is the dominant bullion, and he started his business with other than bullion. And either way, whether he goes by the gold or the silver, he will have reached a quota that makes him obligated to pay the zakah. Then he takes what is most beneficial for the recipients. Which one's most beneficial for them, the gold or the silver? Then he'll pay his zakah that way. If the town does not have either, the town doesn't use or doesn't have either a dominant gold or silver, then he goes by the closest town. Wallahu a'lam. And then now we're at partnership. Sharika. So it is invalid to agree to combining and sharing salaries. The partnership has many scenarios. Most of them are invalid. Like how we started here. This is an invalid scenario of partnership. It is invalid to agree to combining and sharing salaries. Right there. What does that mean? That means, for example, let's say there are two Mexicans. That's not racist. And they hustle each day. They look for work each day and they make whatever money they can make. Yani, somewhere in America, for example. So they're trying to make ends meet. So it's not valid for them to agree with each other that whatever they make, they're going to combine it. That's invalid right there. It doesn't matter if you want to or you don't want to. It's not valid. So it is invalid to agree to combining and sharing salaries, with or without agreeing to cover each other's unrelated damages and losses. That goes even further. Yani, not only some people might agree to combining and sharing salaries, they might agree also to cover each other's unrelated damages and losses. I don't know, it seems like a very bad idea, so I don't know how somebody agrees to that. Why? Because to each is his own. When he has, as an individual, worked and earned. So what you do, you keep your money as your money, and he keeps his money as his money. You can help each other out if you want. You can give charity, sadaqah, but it's not valid to agree to this partnership here as a condition. It is also invalid for the influential to share a loan and then split the profits. For the influential, like his movie star, or someone like that. Or they might agree that the figure, okay, so it is invalid for the influential to share a loan and then split the profits. Or they might agree that the figure buys and the one who is not a figure sells, and then they split the profits. Here I can't talk a lot. I need to review. But at least you have those words without me giving you elaboration. Might be that you find yourself in a situation where you say, I understand. It's not valid for the influential to share a loan, Yani. It's not a condition that two are influential. One person is influential. He's the one who can get the loan. He's a movie star. He's a judge or something else. It is invalid for the influential to share a loan and then split the profits. Or they might agree that the figure buys and the one who is not a figure sells. And then they split the profits. Valid partnership requires someone buying a share, meaning a percentage of something, without determining its physical limits. That's one way for a valid partnership. You can buy a share or percentage of something. You can buy a percentage of a house. You can buy a percentage of a sword, for example, a weapon. So then you own a part of it without determining any physical limits. You don't say, okay, you own the blade and I own the handle. No. Rather, it's going to be you own 70% and I own 30%. So your partner's in it. Or it's not going to be you own the west wing, I own the east wing. Without any determination of physical limits here. This is a valid partnership. Because if one person owns west wing, the other person owns east wing, then it's like it's not a partnership. Or for two or more contributors physically mixing their alike money until they are indistinguishable. Meaning, another way to have a valid partnership is for two or more contributors to physically mix their alike money. Alike money, that means, for example, everyone involved is contributing $10 bills. And let's say new $10 bills so that they're indistinguishable. Because if one person comes with old crumply bills and the other one comes with new fresh crisp bills, you're going to be able to tell the difference between whose is whose. Or if the money is raisins, or the money is coffee beans, it has to be similar. For two or more contributors physically mixing their alike money. So you bring the pot, you put your coffee beans, I put my coffee beans, or you put your raisins, I put my raisins, you put your $10 bills, I put my $10 bills. Physically mixing their alike money until they are indistinguishable. So if you want, you can stir it around so nobody can tell whose is whose. Even if the amount of the contributions are unknown, if they could be later calculated. So if you can't calculate the amount of the contribution later, then you need to know the amount of the contribution now. How much are you contributing? So that you can know you have 60% and he has 40% or the likes of that. Now the partnership is established here. That's enough to establish the partnership. Now how are you going to deal with this money though? This mix is going to then be followed by each partner revocably authorizing the other to deal with his money. Revocably. That means you can revoke your authorization. And it says each one authorizes the other. It says here though, unless they agree that only one of them deals, or two, or whatever. So once you mix all of that money together, and you know your contribution compared to the other contributions, then your partnership is valid. And we're not talking about here putting money into a bank account. That's not physically mixing, that's virtually mixing. So if you want to do this, then go withdraw your money so that you can physically mix it. Then take it to a bank all mixed up and put it into a bank account. So it could be that they authorize one person amongst them, or that they authorize some of them, or they might all authorize each other. And you can take that authorization back at any time. He has free reign to trade with unrestricted authorization. So whoever got the authorization has free reign to trade if the authorization is unrestricted. Like if the partners say, we authorize you to trade with our money. So there's no restriction here. So he has free reign now. So he's going to go looking for a product, for example, to buy and sell with that money of the pot. But he must limit himself to any limitations of restricted authorization. Like they say, we only want you to deal in cars. We only want you to deal in houses. We only want you to deal in such and such. Shoestrings. Profit and loss are commensurate to the contribution. and nothing more. So that means you're getting a percentage. So this makes partnership similar to profit sharing, but they're two different deals. Without the need of a verbal agreement, meaning they don't have to agree that the profit and the loss depend on the contribution. It's automatic. They can, however, give a bonus, an unrequired gift to who works, and he cannot demand a salary. Meaning, what if somebody, his contribution is 10% only or less? So that means that's all he's going to get is 10% of the profits. Somebody else is getting 90% or more. But let's say this guy does all of the work and no one else does any work. So it doesn't matter. But then this guy, he starts feeling disgruntled and unappreciated. See, those guys, they get all the money, and I'm out here sweating. Nah, I want more. So he cannot demand a salary as a partner. He cannot demand a salary. But they can just give him a bonus. That's valid. An unrequired gift. So that means that those others who are getting the 90%, they say, okay, this guy's bringing in a lot of money, and we can't afford to lose him. How about we put our resources together and give this guy a bonus so that he can feel appreciated and keep working? So it's a gift. It's not a condition. That's valid. Selling one's share does not require the permission of the others. Yani selling your own share does not require the permission of the others. Your share. That means that, for example, that guy had 10%. He said, I'm out of here. These guys, I don't want to work with these guys anymore. I want to sell my share. That means he's going to introduce a new partner into the partnership and he's going to get out. He doesn't need their permission to sell his share. Selling one's share does not require the permission of the others because his share is his right. However, the old partners can buy out the new partner. And that takes us to the next section, buyout, which is called in Arabic shufa'ah. It's called buyout here. There could be another word. I used to use the word the right of preemption. I find buyout much clearer. But if you have any suggestion, feel free. The old partners, they can buy out the new partner, but they have to do it immediately, or else they'll lose the right to it. They'll lose the right to this buyout.
Sheikh, is there a time limit?
Just immediately.
I'm getting it's not clear to me when you said they got to do it immediately.
Yes, so it means as soon as they find out, they have to do it. As soon as they find out they have a new partner, then they have to do this buyout. That means you can't wait unless you have an excuse. It's similar to, huh?
No, I'm about to say my other question is, say that new partner said he don't want to buy out. He don't want to be sold.
No, they can buy him out anyway.
Okay.
The immediateness is similar to when you find a defect in your item. We learned about returning defective items or canceling the sale of a defective item. What if you found the item that you purchased is actually defective? Can you take it back? Immediately you can. You can do it if you act immediately. So if you just kick back and then you don't do it immediately, you just wait, then you lost it and you need to keep it. Khalas. You lost the right to do so. What's not immediate, Yani, or let me say it this way. What's an excuse? Like, what if when you found your defect you were eating? You're allowed to finish your meal and then you take care of it. What if you were praying? You finish your prayer and then you take care of it. What if it's nighttime and it's dangerous at nighttime where you are? Then wait for the daytime and then you take care of it. That's not delaying. If it were considered a delay, really it's an excuse. But what if you found out about your defect, or you found out about your new partner and you just wanted to finish your video game? No. Stop that video game and then go take care of it. Here it says, as long as stationary divisible property. Stationary divisible property. Stationary means you can't move it. Divisible means big enough to divide it. Like a big house with its doors that can be made into two small houses. Not a small house that cannot be made into two smaller houses. And like land with its trees that you can split it into two pieces of land, two parcels of land. As long as stationary divisible property has not been divided, then the old partners, not the neighbors, can't buy out your neighbor. In Shafi'i school, you can't buy out your new neighbor. In Hanafi school, you can buy out your new neighbor. In Shafi'i school, you cannot. You can buy out your partner, your new partner. They have the opportunity to protect their investments. That's why they can do it whether the new guy likes it or not. Because they might say, who's this new guy? We don't know how he deals. We don't trust him. Let's buy him out. So they have the opportunity to protect their investments and immediately declare the right to buy out any new partner who acquired his share by an exchange. He acquired his share by an exchange. What does that mean? By an exchange, as opposed to what? What's contrary to an exchange? And contrary to an exchange is like by inheritance. What if you got a new partner because your old partner died and now your new partner is the heir of the old one? He inherited the share. You can't buy this one out. He didn't get it through an exchange. All partners applying the buyout divided proportionate to their existing shares. So for example, if they were more than two partners and one sold his share and the rest of the partners want to buy out the new one, they can, and each one has a right that's similar to his share in the land. So if, for example, there were four partners, two of them have a third each, and two of them have a sixth each. And the one who has a third, one of those who have a third, he sells his share. So now there are three. One has a third and two each have a sixth. And the other third got sold. 1/3 is double 1/6, right? So the 1/3, which is double the share of the other two. So if the three of them apply this right, then the one who owns 1/3 takes a half. And the other two who had 1/6, they take a quarter each. And then we have one more benefit. Since we're talking about partnership involves mixing. Let's bring another benefit from zakah, mixing zakah. It's like being partners in zakah money. If those who must pay zakah mix a quota of livestock for a year, they pay zakah as one person by consensus. Like what? Like one person had 3 camels and the other had 2 camels. 5 camels is a quota. They mix their camels together. That means they put them in a stable together, they take them to graze together, they milk them together, etc. They use the same pathway to go grazing together. So they mix their camels together. One owns 3, the other owns 2. The total is a quota. If those who must pay zakah mix a quota of livestock for a year, they kept them mixed for a year, then they pay zakah as one person by consensus. And this also applies to crops and bullion and trade merchandise according to the most accurate of two sayings. Meaning, not by consensus. Other than the animals, paying zakah as one person because of mixing other than animals is not by consensus. But the animals is by consensus. Since what is true of the animals in this case can be true for the other money. Meaning, this is a case of qiyas. They compared the other money to the animals and said it's valid for the other money too. Those who said that it applies. And because of the absoluteness of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, "La yufraqu bayna mujtami'," do not separate the mixed assets. Meaning the words are open. It doesn't say the money. It doesn't say the animals. In particular, it's more open. So the rule has to go towards the openness of the wording. You know the rule. Al-ibratu bi'umumi al-lafz. The regard is given to the generality of the wording of the ayah or the hadith. La bi khususi sabab. It's not going to be why the words were said, it's going to be what the words actually were. Therefore, mixing sometimes is cheaper for both, or more expensive for both, or for one or the other, or the same either way. Mixing sometimes is cheaper for both of them. Like if each had 40 sheep, together they pay half a sheep, and alone they would pay a complete sheep. Yani if each one of them had 40 sheep and then they put their sheep together, that'd be a total of 80 sheep. But the first quota of sheep is 40 and then the next quota is above 80. If one person had 80 sheep, he's only going to pay like he had 40 sheep. So when each one of them had 40 alone, then each one would have paid a sheep. But when they mixed their sheep together and the total was 80, then each one of them now only has to pay half a sheep. So it became cheaper. Or it might be more expensive for one of them or both of them. Like if their combined number of sheep is 40. If their combined number is 40, then each one pays half a sheep. Because each one alone wouldn't have had to pay any zakah at all. Because he had less than 40. When they combined, it became 40. Now they have to pay. So it became expensive for both of them. More expensive for both of them. Or it could be more expensive for one of them or the other. Or it could be the same either way. Yani, if you know the numbers, then you can figure it out from there. Had someone already had a quota as an individual, and then he mixed his money, and a year passes on his individual wealth, then he pays the zakah for his individual wealth. And he doesn't wait for the mixture's year. He doesn't say, I mixed my money, now I'm going to wait. No. He'll pay zakah on his individual money that he already had before the mixture. Wallahu a'lam, and Allah knows best. We'll stop there. Next chapter is settlement. We're closing in on the end of the book now. Everything after this is even easier. In my opinion, we just covered the most challenging part of the book, which wasn't challenging at all, really. Most challenging part of the book, in my opinion, is starting from renting plowland and hiring field hands, and then covering profit sharing, and then going through partnership and buyout. Do you have any question I can answer for you?
See, that's a better question.
Yes.
But one is in the store with his child normal colors.
You said one was in the store with his child?
Yeah, the child
Okay.
normal colors.
Mm-hmm.
And child buying something, and he there with the child buying it. Excuse me, there with the child buying whatever the merchandise. So the adult, can the adult give the authority to his wife to stand there and do the dealing with him while he walks off?
Well, the rule for authorizing is that you can authorize someone to do anything that you can do for yourself. So if that's something he can do for himself, he can authorize someone else to do it for him.
Thank
You're welcome. That rule does not include bodily worships. You can't authorize a person to pray for you, to do your prayers for you. But you can authorize a person to distribute your zakah, and you can authorize a person to make hajj on your behalf if you are crippled. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.